This is 8.4, 0 and negative exponents. So for 0 exponents, for any non-zero number, a, where a is to the 0 power, that is 1. If we have 0 to the 0 power, it's undefined. So anything with a 0 power equals 1. Makes things pretty simple there. So if we have that, a cannot be 0. So 4 to the 0 power is 1. If I had negative 4 to the 0 power, that'd be like negative 1 times 4 to the 0 power. So you'd get negative 1. But if I have the parentheses here, and negative 4 is all to the 0 power, we get a positive 1. So it still matters where the negative is, inside or outside parentheses. For negative exponents, we would have for any integer n, integer means a whole number, and any non-zero number a to the negative n is the reciprocal of a to the positive n. A reciprocal means you're going to flip the fraction. So if it starts here in the numerator, we're going to move that to the denominator, and now we have a positive exponent. We can't leave our answers with a negative exponent, so we need to flip it to make it positive. So 4 to the negative 2 power, that's over 1, so I would flip that one and move it to the denominator. Negative exponents move the term to the denominator. So just this part with the negative exponent on it would move. If I had something else here, it would stay in the numerator. We'll see more like that later. So we're going to evaluate. So get the number answer of 2 to the negative 4th. That's 1 over 2 to the 4th. Then I'd have 2 times 2, which is 4. And then another one. So that's 4 times 4 is 16. So that's 1 over 16. For negative 7.3 to the negative 6th times negative 7.3 to the positive 6th, there's a couple options on how you could do that. I chose to use the negative exponent, put it in the denominator. Then I would multiply by negative 7.3 to the positive 6th power. And this would be negative 7.3 to the 6th over negative 7.3 to the 6th. Anything divided by itself is 1. You could cross cancel them and get 1 over 1. Which is 1. And here we have 3 squared over 3 to the 6th, and we learned before that we're going to subtract these exponents. So that's 3 to the 2 minus 6 power, which is 3 to the negative 4th, but since that's a negative, I move it to the denominator, so that's 1 over 3 to the 4th, and if I calculate that, you get 81. So it's 1 over 81. Here, simple, we move it to the denominator. 4 times 4 is 16. Negative 2 to the negative 5th, that's 1 over negative 2 to the positive 5th. And 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times another 2 is 32. And since I have an odd number multiplied by itself, it's going to end up odd. Odd number. No, it's going to end up negative. A negative number times itself an odd number of times is a negative number. And one more here. Negative 3 to the 5th power over negative 3 to the 6th power. I would subtract the exponents, and I'd get negative 3 to the negative 1st power. So that's 1 over negative 3 to the 1st, which is negative 1/3. Just a couple more. We're going to simplify here. Negative 3 times x to the 0 power. This 0 power is only on x, so that becomes 1. So that's negative 3 times 1, which is negative 3. If I did not specify that x could not be 0, we could also say that this would be 0 to the 0 power, which would be undefined. So we're assuming that x isn't 0 in any of these. If we have 4 times x to the negative 5th over x to the 3rd, this x to the negative 5th is going to move to the denominator, and the 4 is going to stay. So if I move it, I have x to the 3rd times x to the 5th, and we learned before that we can add those together. So that's 4 over x to the 3 plus 5, which is 4 over x to the 8th. Here, only this negative 9 is going to move to the denominator, so it's 10 over x to the 9th. 10 gets to stay because it would have a positive exponent, so it would stay where it was. And we have x to the third times x to the negative ninth. They have the same base. I can add their exponents together, or I can say, well, this one's negative, I'm going to move it to the denominator, and now I'm going to subtract them. So 3 minus 9 is negative 6. Now that's a negative exponent, so it's 1 over x to the 6th. If you were to go negative 3 plus negative 9, you would jump right to this step, and then go there. And then you just skip that one. But sometimes you do that, sometimes you can't. Depends what else is going on.